Good evening once again. It's a pleasure to have you join us here on Rwanda Television News. My name is Gloria Mutesi. Starting us off tonight, Rwanda's Senate has decided to summon the government spokesperson so that he can give verbal explanations about the problems of late compensation payments for local residents when things like major roads are constructed. Saishnare begins us off tonight with that report.
An example of this would be the Ngoma-Bugesera-Nyanza road that is being upgraded and expanded. Yet some local residents living along its route are yet to be compensated for their property.
Right
there where the road now passes, I had a farm with a variety of vegetables and other produce that included pineapples, maize and beans. The machines came and destroyed them all, and they came and said they had calculated how much they were supposed to compensate us. They later came back and told us to sign some documents, but we are still waiting for that money.
My plot had an assortment of trees in it, and they said they were valued at more than 700,000 Rwandan francs, and then they uprooted them all. I still have not seen a cent of that money. They determined that I was to get 335,000 Rwandan francs, which I am still yet to get. After the roads are complete, other problems also seem to arise and are not properly addressed. Honorable President of the Senate, I have a question about the infrastructure damaged by the roads being constructed. Compensation covers property loss during construction. But what about afterwards when the roads are complete and cases of water torrents coming down from them damage farms? That is generally not considered. In other instances, entire homesteads seem cut off by the road itself, and getting to them is problematic. An analysis done by the Senate Standing Committee on Economic Development and Finance found that poorly done feasibility studies are to blame for the compensation problems that usually dog such projects. There have also been calls for better coordination between the different institutions involved in such projects. The law clearly states that compensation claims are to be settled before the project is implemented. Even the Constitution says so. Obviously, many institutions are involved in the process, but they must coordinate their efforts to get things done. They should form joint committees that go down and visit the concerned communities to sort this out. Also, I believe that if institutions were to have enough trust between them and the people made the priority, then a long-term solution would be found for that problem. Following the submission of the report by the committee, the General Assembly of the Senate decided to summon the government spokesperson so that he can give verbal explanations about the problems of late compensation payments for local residents when things like major roads are constructed and how they can be addressed. The Auditor General's report has also cited serious problems in the way relocations are carried out to make way for major developmental projects.
Now on Wednesday morning, about 351 people, including 197 refugees and asylum seekers from Libya, were vaccinated against COVID-19 at the Gashora campsite in Bugesera district. Umari Jade has the report.
Before arriving in Rwanda during September last year, the refugees and asylum seekers suffered in Libya. They had gone there from different African countries with the goal of crossing over the Mediterranean and into Europe. The refugees have dreams of reaching Europe, and Rwanda agreed to host them through their transition. In different ways and at different times, some refugees have been able to find host countries in Europe. As they were not abandoned when they were persecuted in Libya, Rwanda once again showed the refugees that they were valuable. They were included in the primary group to be vaccinated against COVID-19. In the early hours of Wednesday morning, 351 workers, refugees, and asylum seekers at the Gashora camp began receiving the COVID-19 vaccine. After receiving the vaccine, a member at the camp spoke to Television Rwanda. He was happy to be considered among the primary group to receive the vaccine.
I feel very happy. So from the first point, I was very afraid. I was very afraid of taking this vaccination because I fear of vaccination in general. But now I feel very happy that I already took this vaccination. I feel like coronavirus will not come to me again at all. Yes. Yes.
Do you expect to get it very soon, like this, the vaccination, like very soon? Like
Oh,
how do you think this?
no, I wasn't thinking that I will get this vaccination very soon like this. I was thinking maybe I will never be vaccinated here at all. It's because I know vaccination is not easy. It's not easy to get, and it's not easy for a refugee like me to be vaccinated. I wasn't expecting it at all, but I'm very happy that today they have vaccinated us.
Dina Atala, one of the day staff at the camp, says she is happy to be considered for the vaccine, as their workplace puts them at high risk of contracting COVID-19.
Of course, it is very important, especially in this ETM, because here we receive Libyan evacuees, and it's very important for POCs here or people of concern to get it so that they can actually travel to a third country. Also for us, because we're working here in the front lines, so of course it's very important for us as well to get the vaccination. There are so many rumors worldwide about the vaccines and the side effects and all of that, but I would just say think about it that way, like we do have a pandemic and COVID really kills people out there. So I don't know, like would you rather have the pandemic or get affected by the virus, or would you just get a vaccine? So think about it that way. A vaccine would definitely be much better than the pandemic. It really saves your lives, you know.
Kayumba Olivier, the permanent secretary of the ministry in charge of emergency management, says the vaccination program in refugee camps will continue with special focus in other camps.
Vaccination is going on through the general program we have in Rwanda to vaccinate all residents in Rwanda, being nationals or non-nationals, and refugees here, particularly, they are going to be resettled as per the memorandum of understanding we have with the African Union and the UNHCR. So since they are going to be resettled, they are also part of the vaccination program.
351 people at the Gashora camp were vaccinated, 197 of them refugees. Refugees below the age of 18 were not vaccinated because they are considered minors. Umngari Jade, RTV News.
Thanks very much, Ungari Jed, for that report. To judicial matters now, Rwanda's High Court Chamber for International and Cross-Border Crimes has ruled against Paul Rusesabagina's latest objection to the continuation of his trial. The court has overruled the claim made by the defendant and attorneys who had claimed that he had been kidnapped and brought to Rwanda illegally, asking judges to throw out the case. The panel of judges has pointed out that anyone accused of crimes as serious as the ones Rusesabagina has to answer for will be tried as long as an international arrest warrant was issued and he finds himself back in the country regardless of how he may have been brought back. Saishnori has the details.
The ruling was read by the judges on Wednesday here in Kigali, saying the defendant had an international arrest warrant issued for him, and even though he was not extradited back to the country using official channels, he was brought back nevertheless using a plan that worked out as it should have, as was explained by Bishop Constantine Niyomunjiri in court, a man who was involved in the operation to bring Paul Rusesabagina back to Rwanda to face justice. The accuracy of the narration made by Bishop Niyomunjiri was confirmed by the defendant himself. The court also ruled that Paul Rusesabagina cannot claim to have been kidnapped because records in Dubai show that he transited through the city as a regular passenger with no arrest warrant out for him there, boarding his flight willingly. The court also acknowledged that Paul Rusesabagina thought that he was flying to Bujumbura in Burundi, not Kigali, Rwanda, and that he does not agree with Niyomunjiri's claim of what he was going to do there, with Rusesabagina saying he was going to speak to believers in the bishop's church, and the bishop saying he was in fact going to meet with FLN, MRCD fighters and the authorities of Burundi. The judges noted that no sovereignty of any other country was infringed on, ruling out kidnapping, and that the first government agent the defendant came into contact with was at the Kigali International Airport. The court then looked into whether the means used to bring the accused to justice can be used to throw the case out, and after consultations with legal experts as well as precedents from around the world, agreed that in cases when the methods used to apprehend a suspect accused of such serious crimes are questionable, it does not mean that the suspect cannot be tried. Rather, that the trial proceed and then those responsible for his apprehension answer for the methods used to arrest him. if indeed they warrant such a proceeding. The judges, however, ruled that no laws were broken in the apprehending of Paul Rusesabagina. As for his being initially questioned by investigators without a lawyer present, the judges noted that he chose to do so, meaning again that his rights to legal counsel at the time were not violated. The terrorism trial of Paul Rusesabagina and 20 others will continue on Thursday morning.
The Rwanda TVET board has announced that inmates will be receiving TVET certificates issued by the board after being trained with vocational skills. This comes after TVET schools have been built in 5 prisons. Jocelyn Muganeza continues.
At the Rwanda prison, inmates are being given vocational skills and practical exercises are done under the supervision of the trainer. Welding, carpentry, and other related vocational skills are among the trainings that are being given. These inmates are happy about having TVET schools as well as having materials that will assist their practices, for they used to do theories with their practices. They say that these skills will help them in life outside the prison.
We used to go somewhere we could find the shadow of the house and learn, and go home when the sun has risen. But we reached here and found TVET schools. We saw welding equipment. We are happy that we will be learning what will help us in normal life when we get out, where we'll be working and develop so that we won't come back here to prison.
We used
to learn without the necessary equipment for practical exercises. Even the trainers would train us theoretically. It's now really good that we are in new schools that have got the equipment we need and use during class.
5 prisons at Rubavu, Rwamagana, Nyanza, Huye and Nyarugenge have got these TVET schools. Each school have got its customized curriculum based on its location and the needed skills as well as the inmates in the prison. These TVET schools were built with the support of Dutch Embassy here in Rwanda.
I would like to congratulate the RCS and the Ministry of Justice with their vision and their determination to get this into place. But there are similar programs to prepare inmates for their return into society as responsible members of society. Who see their time in prison also as an opportunity to change their lives and seize new opportunities.
The inmates were being given certificates by their respective prisons, but they were not approved by the Ministry of Education. The Director General of the Rwanda Technical Vocational Education and Training Board, Paul Umukunzi, assures that the new certificates that will be given to the inmates have been approved by the Ministry of Education, and they will now be doing exams just like regular students.
It's true that they were learning without properly following rules governing TVETs. Now there are TVET schools in qualified prisons, and they will be learning following the country's program. They have required materials, nice classrooms, and the next thing is to give them certificates that are accepted at the national level. They will be presenting these certificates just as others that studied TVET from elsewhere.
The Minister of Justice, who is also the Attorney General of Rwanda, Johnson Businje, has urged the inmates to use this opportunity they have gotten and benefit from the skills they get, which will help them to avoid becoming repeat offenders after they return to society. The Commissioner General of the Rwanda Correction Service, CGP, George Gwigamba, has also noted that the TVET schools have come as a solution that will train and give skills to the inmates, which will help them in life after prison, seeing that they pay no fees for the lessons they get.
They are being urged to truly understand what they are being taught, not to take them for granted and instead value them, to learn so that they get out of here with knowledge. They should also know that this is a privilege they have got that they did not see before getting imprisoned, that will bless them in the future.
The project started being implemented last year, worth 4 billion Rwandan francs. It is expected that more than 3,000 inmates will graduate from these schools every 6 months. Ghislaine Mugwaneza, reporting for RTV.
Many thanks for that story, Ghislaine Mugwaneza. Now, the Chamber of Deputies has begun to approve the law governing the insurance sector. It's a law that combines the content of the 2008 law and the 1975 decree. The law addresses a wide range of issues, including gaps in the performance of insurers, both in terms of law, knowledge, and management of insurance companies. The law also stipulates that a compensation fund will be set up by insurance companies so that when a company goes bankrupt or fails to pay its clients, the money in this fund will be used.
One of the reasons why paying was hard was because the insurance companies were not setting premiums in the appropriate way. But the other reason is that because they didn't have standard operating procedures that didn't favor those that were seeking insurance. And in fact, there were no articles in that law that obliged companies to pay up when the time came to do so. This law is therefore looks to address these and other issues in the insurance sector, that the people running those companies have the capacity to do so, and when their capital starts reducing, they're required to increase it again.
And now to agriculture matters. Farmers say that the partnership between Israel and Rwanda in the reform of vegetable and fruit growing through technology has started to yield good results compared to traditional farming methods. Jane Mutuni has the details.
There are seedlings of fruits and vegetables imported from Israel and exported to Ethiopia and Rwanda, which are highly productive due to their weather and disease resistance compared to other plantations. Azizi Celeste and Bonache Felix are farmers in Nzige sector, Rwamagana district. They imported tomato and green pepper seedlings from Israel. They say their productivity has been impressive so far.
As we know, green pepper is not as heavy as tomatoes, yet we've managed to harvest 554 kilograms of them. It's a lot of harvest compared to the size of this farm. Recently I started planting tomatoes, which have now reached the flowering stage. It didn't require me a lot of investment as people may think, but I've managed to gain 1.2 million Rwandan francs from this plantation as of now.
Israel has launched a model center for vegetable and fruit farming where seedlings are being distributed across the country. Diana Uwanyirigira, an employee at the center, certified that the productivity of these seedlings is of high quality. We have a type of avocado called Hass, which has become famous on the global market due to its rapid growth and resistance to damage while being exported to other countries. We also have other fruits like lemons and mangoes on the other side in varieties. As we ordered for the seedlings, they all arrived at the same time in order for us to not only try them out, but also increase fruit plantations in Rwanda. The ambassador of Israel in Rwanda, Dr. Ron Adam, is pleased with the quality of fruits and vegetables that are being multiplied at the center, where his country is involved in training more than 1,500 farmers so far.
What Israel is doing is mainly capacity building. This is our goal and this is our method. We do capacity building. So we build the whole farm in order to teach the local farmers modern techniques and use efficiently the land. I think that this is the right thing to do. It's not to give grants, but to make people be better in the work. So we don't give the fish, but we give the fishermen to how to find the fish. In other words, capacity building is the right thing to do.
The Director General of Rwanda Agriculture Board, Dr. Karangwa Patrick, acknowledges that Israel's contribution to the agricultural reform is yielding.
Israel is renowned for a highly innovative country in agriculture, especially in aspects of irrigation, where they are leading in the world for the drip irrigation technology, but also in horticulture production. So this center, Horticulture Center of Excellence, it is adapting technologies and innovations from Israel that have been developed in Israel. And Rwandan farmers, Rwandan cooperatives, Rwandan graduates, local agriculture schools, they come to learn about the innovations and technologies from Israel, and they go to apply them in the local areas. But also we have got these young Rwandans, fresh graduates who pass 11 months internship in Israel and who have started to show very good performance, like that Horticulture and Reality Cooperative, HORECO, which is involved in the operation and maintenance of irrigation schemes.
Since 2016, Israel has funded Rwanda over 2.5 billion Rwandan francs, which was used in the construction of a center for vegetable and fruit farming called Horticulture Center of Excellence, located in Mulindi. Rwanda also contributed an investment of 500 million Rwandan francs, which is spent every year in the daily activities at the center. Over 49 varieties of vegetables have already been ordered from Israel, along with 17,000 seedlings. In 2019-2020, more than 220,000 vegetable seedlings were multiplied here in Rwanda from Israel, to a point they produced a harvest of over 150 tons. Jane Mutoni, reporting for RTV.
Well, that's it for tonight. Thank you for your company. A gentle reminder to please wear your face mask and do all that is required of you to stop the spread of the pandemic. Otherwise, God bless you and keep you. And until next time, I'm Gloria Mutesi.